Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Shouldn't Be a Jerk. The doctor in question is from another country. A misogynist and English is probably his fourth language. We had a policy for printing HIPAA documents. Essentially, they were not proved by the employees and you had to present ID to pick them up. A copy of the actual ID is on the first page and you have to verify against the real ID as well as get signatures. An organization sends over a HIPAA document. The doc comes in to pick it up. He refuses to show his ID because his ID is right there on the document. He calls myself and another female employee some choice words for enforcing the policy that is based on federal law. He tells us how important he is and how we are just high school dropouts who can't get a better job. I had my bachelor's and the other employee was a PhD student paying her bills. Nonsense ensues, his boss gets involved, he loses the argument. About a week later he comes back with a handwritten document he wants us to type up as a sign for his office. He explains that his nurses and techs are stupid women who don't understand how to work. I kid you not on this level of calling women stupid. So he's got the list of things he wants his employees to do. First, for each shift you can only take one break. Second, when you have a shift you must change your clothes. Third, each shift you must do X, Y and Z. And so on. Except he didn't know the word shift had an F in it. We printed it exactly as written, for free, and kept a copy taped inside the cupboard for whenever we were having a bad day. The next story is called Teach It Yourself. This happened when I was 13. I didn't have a problem telling adults they were wrong about something if I was 100% sure I was right. In fact, I relished it. Of course, it bit me in the butt a couple of times when I was actually wrong, but most of the time it just got me labeled with an attitude problem. I spent first through third grades in schools that treated art just as important as math and science. I had already played with a lot of different mediums and been taught a lot of different beginner techniques. I didn't have any talent or anything. I wasn't some great artist. I was just very familiar with a lot of different styles, mediums and techniques. There I was in the 8th grade art class. Our teacher was more interested in being the photography teacher and only taught the art classes because he had to. Everyone knew it and he was mostly phoning it in. The unit we were studying was perspective. We did 1-point perspective, where we drew street scenes as if one was looking down a long street. We did 2-point perspective, where we drew scenes as if one was standing on a corner and looking down 2 streets. While the teacher was explaining 2-point perspective, somebody in the class asked if there was such a thing as 3-point perspective. The teacher said yes and launched into an explanation that involved compass circles or something equally stupid. I spoke up with a substantial amount of attitude. No, that's not it at all. What's that? What did you say? I said, that's not it. That's not a 3-point perspective. At all. Oh, well then, if you think you can teach it better, why don't you get up here and try? Okay. I hopped down off my art stool, walked up to the front and explained 3-point perspective to my classmates in about 2 minutes. The teacher took the yardstick away from me and told me to sit down, then gave us our assignments for 2-point perspective. I think I got a B. And for those who are wondering, 3-point perspective is as if Ron is standing at a corner at the bottom of a tall building looking up or in an airplane looking down. That's the quick and dirty explanation. The third story is called Need ID. I just bought a house with my spouse. Yay, a great time with this market. I know, and it's a new build. I'm going through setting up all the utilities and such so we can live comfortably. One of these utilities is internet, which has been giving me a headache for a few days now. There's only one option for the home, since it's a new build, so unless I want to wait for someone else to lay their cables and such, I need to go through them. No biggie, they have fiber already along the street, and as I and my spouse work from home, fiber is a great option. The first 2 times I attempt to set up for a technician to come out and connect our house to the fiber line, I am met with arrival dates that changed to 14 years from now from the day the technician was supposed to come. The first time I was confused and called in. I was told something was wrong with the account. Okay, I set up a new one and order a technician for the following day. Annoying, but doable. Next day, 14 years get added to the arrival date again. Call in again and get passed around technical support until I just ask for someone to tell me what is happening. Apparently support can tell me because it's on the technician's side and they can see the technician's side of things. Great. I decide to go in with my spouse to talk to people in the store, since online and over the phone have only served to give me headaches. There I am met with a simple issue before they can help me. I forgot my driver's license. Without my driver's license, they can't get into my account. I tell the associates helping me and my spouse that I have a picture of my ID on my phone and can just show it to them. They can take that and ask me to call back after I go get my ID, handing me a specific associate's card with their number. My spouse and I leave, drive to our place to eat dinner and call the associate in the car. We told him it might take 20 minutes for me to get my ID. The restaurant we went to was about 2 minutes away. I lead the call with my name and asked if he can get into my account now that I have my ID, and says he can. He comments that this was a lot faster than he thought it would be, and I just responded with a yep and read my ID number of the picture I had of it on my phone. The call lasted about 30 minutes instead of the total of 50 it would have taken if we had driven home to get my ID, and we went to eat dinner right after the call was done. Nothing has been fixed yet, but after all the issues I was having, this felt like a nice win. The last story is called Office Space. This happened in former Yugoslavia in the 80s. It was still a communist country, but by then they started allowing for some privately owned companies limited in size. My brother was working for one such company which made high-end custom AC systems. As this was a novel concept at the time, office space was almost non-existent. These huge state-owned companies had their own buildings with everything they needed, including office space. Outside of that, there was never a need and nothing was ever built with that in mind, so you really needed to think outside the box for this one. And that brings us neatly to the second peculiarity of life in former Yugoslavia: apartment buildings. At some point before, a whole bunch of them were made, basically a whole new part of the city. All of them had this huge space in the ground floor / first floor that was planned to be the boiler room. This was later abandoned in favor of one big heating plant to which all the buildings in that area were connected. The owner of the fledgling company approached an apartment building representative and asked them to rent a space intended for the non-existing heating system. Now, these guys in this particular building were retired military officers, so a little bit arrogant and not big on asking questions. They had no idea what was going on, other than that some guy was willing to give them money to rent a part of the building that was never used. Not much money, but basically free money for them. So they signed a standard renting contract. The owner converted the boiler room to a 2-floor office with all facilities, and that was that for a while. One point about this guy is that he didn't like to rent. So after a while, when the business started to pick up, he started building a new factory that included the much needed office space. When this was finished and he was ready to move, he again approached apartment building representatives with a proposal to pay him some of the cost of remodeling. They could now rent for a way higher price, as office space was by then in high demand, and for what he was asking they would be in a clear in less than a year, and after that profit. But, as I said, former military officers, a bit arrogant, used to get their way. They thought about it and said no. You are moving out and we are gonna get that anyway, and for free. The owner said okay, no problem. He gathered all of his employees and told them that they could take anything that they think they could need from the former office. Electric plugs, toilet bowls, doors, anything that could be dismantled could be taken. After that he brought a small excavator, drove it in and started tearing the place clean. By then the building representatives are running and screaming, threatening to call the police. Militia then. Take legal actions, everything and anything. The owner calmly takes out the standard renting contract with highlighted premises to be returned to the original state after renting period. Now, there's something poetic about a bunch of entitled, arrogant jerks being screwed and knowing they can't do anything about it. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.